Hello, everybody, and welcome back to M&J Games. I am Michael, and today we're looking at a park that was created. It's an individual coaster as part of Corvus's 2K subscriber challenge, and it's called Emerald Gardens, and it was created by Oscar06_UWU. And today I'm really excited to have a special guest joining me, as it is Eric from Theme Park Avenue. So, for those of you who don't know, Eric creates a lot of content for real life roller coasters, so let's welcome him over to the imaginary realm. And Eric, thank you for joining me, man.
Thank you for having me. It's good to be here. I don't do a whole lot with Planet Coaster or anything for that matter, so I'm excited to look into a project and see what it's like.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just excited because I know that we kind of, around similar times, connected through in our early YouTube journeys. And I know we've talked since then and stuff. And I love seeing your videos you put out. So I just wanted to get your expert opinion on this stuff because you're really big into obviously going to theme parks and vlogs and all sorts of stuff. So what's your initial thoughts before we get started?
Well, because I do enjoy looking at roller coasters, I was looking into mostly the positive parts of them, but also when I'm on a ride seeing, what could make this truly great roller coaster. I'm excited to kind of analyze a digital one and compare it to my real theme park connoisseur within me.
Yeah, for sure. And right away, when I kind of see those supports that we just saw right there, I know it's not the exact same, but my initial thought is Cheetah Hunt with that kind of style because it's one of the few coasters that's got that sort of element and kind of support structure with it.
Yeah, that does somewhat resemble the Windcatcher Tower that's on Cheetah Hunt. It's only one turnaround instead of the full sort of figure eight it does, but as this is sort of an Intamin Blitz type roller coaster, definitely a launch one. I can see some of the
Yeah.
resemblance between similar things like Cheetah Hunt or Maverick.
Oh, Maverick. Yeah, that's a good one. Which, by the way, Maverick was closed the whole day when I was
Oh.
at. Yeah, apparently they had people from Intamin out because it had been down for like 3 days. So that was annoying. But I love these little plazas here, and just you can tell that when the creator was designing this, like he really created it with the idea of the guest perspective in mind, which is what I love seeing in the game. Trying to take stuff in real life and implement it in the game.
Absolutely. I enjoy looking at this overall theming from all the architecture to the foliage, because I don't know a whole lot about how making individual buildings works. Not sure if you plot the whole thing. I think it just is a very smart theme, and it carries through the entire area.
Yes, I agree. And so it seems like the building pieces, like the roof pieces, are pieces that come in game, but then there's been a lot of detail put in. Like right there, I think that's actually, you know what, that might be an individual wall piece because I haven't really worked with this idea and theme too much, just because I'm terrible at theming, so I wouldn't even know where to begin. So this is really cool though to kind of see how this creator just implemented this, and I also love some supports being in the middle of pathways because I think it is a cool another element that you sometimes see in a theme park.
Definitely. And the sports do look good. I like the vibrant green color, and it does contrast fairly well with the main gray track, and this whole area does look nice. And I also do like the way that entrance sign looks for sure. Very grand and very colorful.
Yes, and so basically that ride sign on the right is created by in the game we can take like because we don't really have a lot of letters on console like they do on PC, but you can take a road sign and you can slightly put it into the wall, and what's written on the sign actually pops up. And so it's just a couple road signs using different letters, and so you can see that's a way to kind of hide the ugly sight of the entrance that the game just automatically gives you. But it's really cool to see how different, as we evolve at this game, how different people kind of use these different ideas to create that realism aspect.
All right. And then one thing I definitely want to point out, looking at the ground that's standing on right now, I like that it's not just simple concrete. The design fits with the theme, and even though it's a simple touch, it's one that adds to the overall appearance of the ride. So props to the creator for sure.
Yes, I agree. And usually I just tend to go with the basic, but it is good varying the different kind of pathing systems up. And I love the interaction that the coaster has with the path. So it's like while you're waiting in line to get to see the coaster fly by, and that anticipation builds.
Yeah, and that's always a fun thing to do when you're waiting in line for a real ride.
Yeah,
And
for
that
sure.
version above the queue looks interesting. Can't wait to see what that one's like.
Yeah, it definitely looks awesome. And that's another thing too with this coaster is the inversions seem to be custom, which makes it even it's tougher to do because it's tough to really get it smooth, but it just adds that extra sense of real life realism to it because you can shape it how you want. Is the end game, as you see the station here and the lights now, which by the way, I think like doesn't this add kind of a creepy vibe?
Yeah, with the slight hints of green in there and then the darkness. Definitely. But I like the way this
Yeah.
queue looks as well. The main building fits with the theme, and this theme is very consistent the whole way through.
Yes, for sure. As we look at the stats, G-force is a little bit higher than they should be in real life, but at the end of the day, this is a video game, right? Um, and 4 inversions, 1 airtime count, and let's go ahead and take a ride on the coaster, and we'll talk to you afterwards. All right, so that was the coaster. So, Eric, what are your thoughts?
I overall definitely enjoyed the layout. The thing that stood out most was the inversions for me. I thought, especially the one that went through the queue building, that was a fun one to watch from off the ride and a very powerful looking one for on the ride. And all the inversions definitely seem to have that same kind of force to them. And many of the turns were very powerful because this ride seems to hold speed incredibly well. A lot of, even
Yes,
other
agreed.
instant launch coasters sometimes don't do that, so the ride was well paced and it had a lot of very good elements. One thing, I don't know
Yes.
how track smoothing works in this game. The ride was mostly consistent. There were just a couple parts in, I think, the second half that weren't quite as good as the best, but it's still fantastic layout overall for sure.
Yes, track smoothing is not the easiest thing to do in this game because if you make, especially if you create custom inversions, because then sometimes you smooth it out and it undoes the shaping that you wanted, right? But yeah, I agree. I think overall very, very smooth. A couple moments that maybe just a little bit more, but it also might have messed up the shaping of the track. The only thing I'd say is the that point after the second launch where it kind of jolts upward a little bit. I think that's a little bit of uh, that could be flattened out a little bit or at least extended out. But other than that, I mean, looks awesome. Like you said, the theming is really good and the pace was really well done. Because there are a lot of coasters in this game that tend to lose. The friction in the game is not the best. So like you can't create a wooden coaster like Mystic Timbers because it's going to lose its it's going to lose its speed so much throughout the course. But this one seemed to really keep the speed throughout, which is impressive.
Definitely.
Uh,
And overall, between theming and thrills, it's a very good roller coaster. I would definitely like this one to be in the
yes.
real world now.
Are you big on Intamin Blitzes, or where do they rank in terms of like coaster models that you really like?
I enjoy them quite a bit. It can vary a bit. Cheetah Hunt is one I don't think is like the greatest coaster ever, like some do, but I still think it is a great ride. But then you have Maverick and Velocicoaster, which are just phenomenal rides. This is more
Yeah.
akin to those than Cheetah Hunt, in my opinion.
Yes, agreed. And there's just a little bit of detail with the backstage. Only thing I'd say is maybe adding some more perimeter fencing around that. Is in theory you could have some crazy kid in line who just jumps the line and wants to go touch the transfer track. um, But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I really love this creation. Like I said before, the plaza areas are nice. And here, I'm deleting this just so we can see everything that's been custom that this creator made. So you can see that custom little walkway there. You got the wiring and all those custom supports. So that takes time and it's very tedious, but I think it just adds to the overall look and realism of the coaster.
Yeah, I think it's pretty impressive that all the supports were made like custom. That's fantastic.
Yes, and it's one of those where it's pretty easy once you get the hang of it, but especially with one like that cheetah hunt type structure that's angled like that, that's where it gets tough because you want the angles to look semi-symmetric, right? You don't want one of them to look at a crazy angle, and so I think that was really well done. And another thing here is overlaying some pieces on the ground to cover up where the path is not. I think that's really well done. So you can have this really cool looking rounded plaza, which is tough to make with just paths. All
Yes.
right, so
Overall
oh my
good.
bad. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, overall, very good, and the whole area looks excellent from foliage to terrain. I think it was done very well.
Yes, and thank you so much, Eric, for joining me as we're wrapping up the video. So as I said before, make sure to go check out his channels. The link is below. Amazing job with coaster reviews and stuff. Just did a Six Flags coaster review or Six Flags Park, I believe. But thank you so much for joining me, Eric.
No problem. Thank you for having me. It was great to do this.